Good morning, students. Good morning to all. Yesterday, we have studied something about the production possibility curve. Have you remember? Have you studied anything about the production possibility curve? Okay, I believe you all have studied. Okay, today just we will remind about the production possibility curve something. So the production possibility curve is one of the geometrical device. What? So it is one of the geometrical device in which we can understand easily about the problem of choice between the relatively scarce commodities and the limited productive resources. Okay, so when we have the problem of choosing any one of two commodities to produce, we have to take any one. Okay, how can we take any one from these two? Mean on the basis of having the production possibility curve, we can easily understand. Okay, so the problem of choice between relatively scarce commodities due to limited productive resources with the society can be illustrated with the help of geometric devices called as production possibility curve. Normally, we have the choice to select any one of the commodities in this market or in the production analysis. How can we select mean? By using the production possibility curve, we can select any one of these two. So the explanation and analysis of the production possibility curve is based on some of the assumptions. Have you remember what are the assumptions was there yesterday? So the time period does not change. So when we are producing any of the commodity, so the time period does not change. Next, it remains the same throughout the curve. So by producing the 10 unit of commodities, so by producing by one commodity to another one of the commodities, the time gap between is very same. Next, techniques of productions are fixed. To producing any of the commodities, so all the techniques we are using is fixed. So what are the techniques we are going to use to produce the commodities will be fixed. Next, theory. Next, there is the full employment in the economy. Full employment means so all the factors of productions have to be in fully employed, and all the resources also have to be in as used. Next, only two goods can be produced from the given resources. Okay, even if we have some given resources, by using these resources, we have to produce any two commodities. When we are producing any two commodities only, we can understand the operations of production possibility curve. And the resources of productions are fully mobile. Mobile means so the all the factor of production can ability to move from one place to another one place. Another place means for the purpose of producing. Okay, so the factor of production can ability to moving to produce from one commodity to another one of the commodities. Next, the factor of productions are given in the quantity and quality. Okay, so all the factor of productions are given in the quantity and the quality is same. The same quantity and the same quality only. So factor of production have to adapt to producing the commodity. Next, the law of diminishing returns operates in production. Law of diminishing means, as I told yesterday, so when we are making the investment, the profit will be less. Okay, so the profit is will be very lower than the investment amount is considered as a diminishing returns. Okay, so every production possibility curve is based upon these assumptions. If some of these assumption changes are neglected, then affect the nature of production possibility curve. And not only that, we have studied the production possibility schedule before studying about the production possibility curve, so we can easily understand about the production possibility schedule. Okay, so here the 6 possibilities are there. First, in first possibilities, so the government can produce 0 tons of food of productions, otherwise so the 25 number of cars. Okay, if the governments are choosing to produce the 25 number of cars, so he will be unable to produce the food. Okay, otherwise in the second possible, so the government can produce the 100 tons of food, and so it will be reducing the 2 number of cars and the 23 number of cars can product. Okay, so if you are reducing the 2 number of cars only, so we can produce the 100 tons of food. Okay, so by using the resources to using for the 2 cars only, we can produce the 100 tons of food. Okay, like that in the every 5-6 possibilities are there. Okay, only we can produce the 100 unit of tons of food, otherwise 23 number of cars, otherwise 300 tons of food, otherwise 50 number of cars. Okay, otherwise we can produce only the food productions without productions of number of car. Okay, so we have the 6 possibilities. Okay, in the 6 possibilities we can choose any one of the possibilities on the basis of our economy. Okay, suppose if our economy is developing nations mean, we can use the 4th possibilities. Okay, because the developing nations must be required the food and the luxurious items also. Okay, suppose if our nations are underdeveloped nations, no people, so many of the peoples are having or not having the food or the basic necessity of life, first we have to select the 6th possibilities. Okay, in here, so we can produce the 500 tons of foods. Okay, without productions of car. Okay, otherwise the developed nations or all the nations can able to produce the number of cars without producing the tons of food. Okay, but no nations are will be there by producing the or choosing the first possibilities. Okay, because even if you have the many or more resources or more income or high national income, we must produce the food items. Okay, so no nations will be select the first possibilities. Okay, so normally the developed nations or developing nations will be use the 4th or 5th possibilities on the basis of their national income and the taste and preference of the consumer of the nations. Okay, the 4th and 5th possibilities only will be suitable to all the developing and developed nations. And next we have studied the production possibility curve. Okay, by using this production possibility schedule, we can easily draw the production possibility curve. Okay, here suppose if the nations are don't want to produce the food, so it will be able to produce the 25 number of cars. Okay, otherwise if it is want to get to produce the food production, so the nations must be reduce the productions of car from 25 to 20, and because of using these remaining resources, it will be producing the 100 unit of food productions. Okay, so whenever the governments are reducing the resources to producing the cars, by using the remaining resources we can using the food product. Okay, so normally if all the nations want to producing to having the utilizations or the full or the optimum satisfactions. Okay, and here if the nations are selecting the P4, the possibility of P4, the nations will be the equilibrium to productions of the car and the productions of the food. Okay, so and here we have to note one thing, so no nations will be select any of the point from below the possibilities curve or the locus of point. Okay, so this curve is there, this curve is called as a locus of the possibility curve. Okay, so below this locus of the possibilities curve, no nations will be selected any of these. Okay, because if it is select any of these under the locus of the possibility curve, so it means so the natural resources will be in wasted. Okay, and at the same time, so the no nations will be unable to produce beyond the locus of possibilities curve. Okay, because the natural resources are not sufficient to produce that commodity. Okay, next the shift of production possibility curve. Okay, how the production possibility curve will be shifted from upward to downward or downward to upward mean on the basis of two factors. Okay, first one is the change in the supply of productive resources. Okay, suppose if the nations are having more natural resources to producing the commodities than the previous year, means so the production possibility curve will be moving upward from downward. Okay, and the changes in the state of technology. Okay, now if the nations are invented any of the technology to producing the commodities, it will be moving from upward to downward. Okay, suppose if the nations are using the labor intensive to producing the commodity too, it will be invented the any of the technical to production the same commodities, so the production possibility curve will be increased because of low production capacity or the productivity. They can be able to produce more, right? Then today we will study something about the uses of production possibility curve. Okay, so we are studying about the production possibility curve now. So what are the uses? You can ask, so what is the uses of production possibility curve? Okay, first one of the uses of the production possibility curve is the problem of size. So we all the nations are having one of the problem is size of productions. What product and what product we have to produce, and how much and for whom we have to produce. Okay, this is the problem of size. Okay, so the problem of size arises because of the given limited resources and unlimited ones. Okay, when we have unlimited ones and the limited resources, we will be in the problem of size. Okay, it may be related to the allocation of resources between the goods for the higher income group and the lower income group. Okay, so all the nations will be have the different group of the people, the rich people and the poor peoples. Okay, but the nations must be provided all the commodities, all their wants throughout the society. Okay, and but the production possibility curve is the locus of combinations of the goods, the problem of choice. So by using this production possibility curve, so we will be easily select the size of produced commodity. Next, notion of scarcity. Notion of scarcity means the concept. So we can explain the concept of scarcity with the help of the production possibility curve. So because of that, we know that every society possesses only as a specific amount of resources, which can produce only limited amount of output, even with the help of the best technology. Okay, even if you have the best technology, so we must have the resources, allocated resources. If there is no resources, so there is no need to using the technology. Okay, by using the technology, if you have more scarcity, more resources only, it will be useful. Otherwise, the invented or the high technology also will not be in need. Okay, but in economic scarcity of best fact of life, the production possibility curve reflects the constraint imposed by the element of economic scarcity. Okay, so whenever we are going to produce by using the scarcity, we can come to know by using the production possibility curve. Next is the solution of central problem. So what is the central problem of the economy mean? The decision regarding the size of allocation of resources. Okay, we have some scarcity amount of resources. Okay, but we have to use these resources for producing the true commodity. Okay, the true commodities always have to provide the full satisfaction to the consumers. Okay, so this is the central problem. By using the production possibility curve, so we can easily eliminating the central problem of our nations or one nations. Okay, student, now the first lesson is over. Okay, so if you have any of the doubt, please ask me in this first lesson. And study daily. I am giving the study portions, but I don't know whether are you studying or not, and in how you would understand or not. Okay, so when you have doubt, please ask me and study and write and see yourself. Okay, then now we can go to the next lesson. Okay, now we will go to the next chapter. The next chapter is consumption analysis. Consumption analysis. Why we have to study the consumption analysis in economics mean? Already we have studied in our first lesson itself the subdivisions of economics. So the consumption is also one of the subdivisions of economics. Okay, so in this consumption analysis we will understand about the consumer behavior whenever the price of the commodity is changing. Okay, so the consumer behavior only will be determined the whole economy activities when the time of prices are changes or supply are changes. Okay, so consumption is an essential of economic activity. So already we have studied, so without the consumption we have no need to producing the commodities, and because of that there is no need of commercial activity also. The quantity and the quality of consumption determine the standard of living of the people. Okay, now if you want to understand about the standard for living of the people, we can understand on the basis of amount of their consumption. Okay, normally if we consuming more commodity and the luxury goods, so we can understand that persons are maybe as a rich people and their living standard also may be higher. Okay, so on the basis of the level of consumption we can easily understand the living standard. Okay, so like that, if all the peoples in one nations are having many or more purchasing power, so we can understand that nations or the living standard of the people of the nations may be higher. Okay, so the consumption is the act of satisfying one's want. Okay, so normally what's the meaning of consumption mean? So the consumption is the act of satisfying one's want. So normally we are getting, one wants to consuming some of the commodities. Okay, and when we will get the satisfactions, so after consuming that commodity or when we are consuming that commodity only, we will get some of the satisfied. Okay, so what once was arised in our mind, that once is get the satisfaction when we are consuming that commodity, right? So not only that, the consumption is defined as the use of goods and services for satisfying wants. Okay, how to use the goods and services, and the usage of the goods and services, or the utility of the goods and services even after purchasing the commodities. When we are consuming that commodities, if we are not having the proper or sufficient utility, so we will not get the satisfactions, right? So the consumption always related to satisfying power of the commodity. And the consumption is the beginning of economic science. Economic science means on the basis of the consumption level, on the basis of the wants of consuming, the economic got some of the formed science, because on the basis of the consumer the demand will be changed or the supply of may be changed, and the consumer will get some of the benefit and the employment opportunity and everything. So on the basis of the consumption or the wants of the consumption. So in the absence of consumption there can be no production, exchange or distributions, right? If no people want to consuming more commodities, will there any economic activity? If there any, will there any production of the commodities? Will there is the need of producing any commodity? No. So the production only, the consumption only will be bringing the need of production, exchange and distribution. So the consumption is also an end of production. Okay, so if the production, the purpose of production is come to an end when the producer, when the consumer are going to consuming that commodities or after consuming that commodity. Okay, so the purpose of production is come to an end only after consumption of the production by the consumer, right? So the producer produce goods to satisfy the wants of the people. If there is no consumption, if there is no wants to consumption, so the producers also will be in no need of product. Next, human wants. So characteristics, sorry. So what's the normally what we will say about the wants in ordinary language? So the desire and want mean the same thing, right? If you want to decide to get something, or if you get the wants to get something, it is the same meaning in normal. But in economics, they have different meaning. Wants are the basis for human behavior to buy and consumer goods. Wants are the basis for human behavior. Behavior means normally what we are doing in our daily basis is determined by our wants or the level of or volume of wants. If the man doesn't have even a little bit of wants to anything, there is no human activity, right? One day or 1 week, if you are being simplicity without doing anything, even without want to drink the cup of water, a drop of water, will you do anything? No. Simply you will sit or simply you will sleep. Okay. Even if you want to sleep, you have to need some of the floor or guard or some of the blanket, right? So in economics, wants are the basis for human behavior to buy and consume goods. Okay, we are studying the wants, but what are the characteristics are there in wants? What characteristics of the wants mean? First, the wants are unlimited. The human wants are countless in number and various in kinds. If you thinking what kind of wants we have mean, so we have different kinds of wants. Sometimes these wants will be in countless. Daily after waking up in one day, how many types of wants we have mean? So it will be in countless. So we are brushing our teeth and we are going to bath, and when we are taking the bath, so we want to using the different type of the soaps and different kinds of the toothpaste, and we are wearing the different kinds of the clothes. Okay, so every and we will eat what we want already. So the wants are unlimited. And not only that, even if one wants are satisfied, so another want will be arised. Okay, now you want to get consuming or you want to purchase one of the normal mobile and you got it and you have satisfied. So your wants will be in stop? No. So again you will get to purchase one of the Android mobile or one of the new version mobile. Okay, so like that our wants will be arised again and again. So our wants are unlimited. The human wants multiply with the growth of civilization and development. Okay, so whenever the new commodities come to a market, on the basis of the arrival of the market, arrival of the commodities, our wants also will be increase and the new wants will be appear. Okay, and whenever the industrializations are going to develop, on the basis of increasing the industrializations, the new type of the commodities will come to an market. Okay, and so many of the advertisement also will make us to consuming the new commodities. Okay, So the wants are unlimited. Even if we get or after satisfying the commodities, we will get the desire to consuming the new commodities. Okay students, it's enough I think. So just you study about the production possibility curve and the uses of production possibility curve and the characteristics of wants. Just you touch the last lesson. Okay students, thank you.